And a big good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to RTA Virtual Motorsports here on Gantry TV. It's the sixth round of proceedings in Motorsport.ie's RTA Mustang America's Cup. And tonight we head to Morrow County, Ohio for the 2.2-mile Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course. And it's a pleasure to be alongside you once again on this Tuesday evening. My name is Evan Dalton. Behind the scenes, as always, we have Ronan, Hederman, and returning for a second time this season, it's the fabulous Galvin. Kevin, it's a pleasure to have you here.
Evan, pleasure to be here. Pleasure to be back.
It is always nice to have a new voice in the commentary box alongside mine, as well as Kieran, so the viewers at home aren't totally driven demented. But in terms of tonight, coming into tonight's action, we had a fabulous race in Road America last week, which saw Sean McClemens take his first RTA win and Ronan Doherty winning the other two heats. But in terms of the championship, the absence of Jordan Kelly kind of shuffled up the standings a little bit. Of course, it'll sort itself out with the drop round come the end, but it is Oscar Mangan who is leading. Dylan McClemens then in second, ahead of Sean McGoldrick in third. Ronan Doherty in fourth, with Jordan Kelly in fifth, just 3 points ahead of Sean McClemens in sixth. Evan Walsh then in seventh, ahead of Rory O'Shea in eighth. Jamal Gandor in ninth, and Kevin Joyce in 10th. And speaking of Kevin, Oscar Mangan with a nice lead at the top of the order.
Yeah, nice lead, Oscar. Obviously came in, dropped in to commentate a bit of time at Cota, where Oscar hadn't had the greatest of starts, but really pulled it back that weekend, and it seems like he's keeping that run going. Look, solid same names. So it's great to see Dylan McClemens and Sean McGoldrick up there. Dylan obviously really quick and proving his pace already in some of the championships we've had, but a second place shows that he's maturing as well and he's picking up good results. So it's about tying that flat pace to actually getting the points at the end of the weekends, and it's shaping up. I mean, look, there's a good gap now between Oscar and Dylan, but you go from second down to even Jordan Kelly in fifth and Sean McClemens. It's really anybody's opportunity to try and make a claim for those top three places.
Yeah, it is, and Sean McGoldrick last week had a solid heat number one, but heat 2 and 3 for him were absolutely disastrous, so he'll be looking to bounce back and have a positive result here tonight. And in terms of the B Series, of course, there hasn't been much of a change really due to the absence of the majority of the runners. Stuart Brereton is still leading it, ahead of Rich Murphy. Gary Corcoran then in third, Grace McCallion in fourth, and then Aaron Dalton in fifth. And Aaron would have a lot more points, but unfortunately he picked up 15 penalty points last week for the second consecutive week, so he is down the bottom of the B Series. But Stuart is back tonight after 2 weeks of absence, and the Rainmaster is looking to take a solid result. But one thing about racing in America is you don't get a lot of rain, Kevin. It's nice and sunny out on track.
Yeah, nice and sunny, but it seems like Stuart is the master of snow and rain. Of course, former Special Olympics World Winter Game gold medalist in South Korea. So it just goes to show you it's not just good on rain, but any kind of precipitation, really.
Yes, as we are just about heading into qualifying now. We've only had one driver win from pole in Heat 1 this season. That's Ronan Doherty, who is at the top, who won last week and was at the top of qualifying. He's not here this week, so I don't think he's going to be able to repeat the feat. But we still had no driver since Dylan McClemens take a hat-trick either. But Oscar Mangan has probably been the man who looks like he's able to do it. He's taken 5 podiums in his last 6 races, but didn't get a single win in Road America, and didn't get a single win in Daytona, and didn't get a single win in Canada, but is still top of the order, Kevin. I think it's safe to say consistency is key.
Oh yeah, like all these championships, it's about, can't win. It's about, I mean, we speak about it every week, the fact that the races you build up through race 1 and race 2, and we've seen cases before where guys have maybe been off the pace, haven't had a great qualifying, but managed to work their way through the field, and by the end of it are battling up the top. So yeah, there's always a chance across the course. There's 3 races, and it's about, as you say, Evan, just trying to keep your nose in it, just trying to stay as consistent as possible and try and get as many good.
Yeah, we are into qualifying now, and while these drivers are doing their outlaps, it's not exactly a long lap here, or certainly not as long compared to Road America or Daytona in our last 2 rounds. But returning this week, we have this Jordan Kelly hot lap around this Mid-Ohio sports car course. So Jordan, our multi-time champion here in RTA, is providing us with an onboard run, and it is a 3.6 kilometer circuit, or 2.2 miles in old money, and it starts in the first corner here, which is a quick left-hander onto a mini straight down towards hairpin turn number 2. This is the keyhole, it's commonly known, and it is a late braking right-hander. You sort of dip downhill and then straight back uphill on the acceleration. The driver's using about second gear through here. This is onto the longest straight on the circuit, the long back straight. And this track, of course, has had many refurbishments, 1982, 2011. Anytime it's been purchased, I should say, they have repurposed it and they have done it up. This is turn number 4. And then straight uphill in towards turn number 5, a very, very tricky section of track this. And then it's the S's of turn number 6, 7, and 8, which is a tricky right, and then in towards the uphill left. And just balance your car through here, hope you can save it, and head down towards turn number 9. Turn number 10 then is an uphill left-hander. This corner is known as Thunder Valley, and it's in towards the final tricky section of the circuit. You want to keep it as flat as possible through here, but of course picking up the brakes as well in towards the carousel of turn number 12 and turn number 13. So it's a very narrow circuit, just like Road America. Pin the throttle for the final corner and get it across the start-finish line. Overtaking is not going to be easy.
No, going to be a really tricky one. It's something that drivers have talked about already in terms of the difficulty of trying to get overtakes here. So it will be very interesting to see, I suppose, look, that particularly that reverse grid race, how the guys from the back try to get to the front with guys who would otherwise be probably slower than them. So it will be really interesting to see. As you say, only really 2 corners on this track where you can get an overtaking pass done, which usually means that we see a little bit more desperation as it comes into those corners. So expect to see some bit more feistiness, I suppose. Is that the right word to say, Evan, coming into those corners?
Yeah, I think so. Definitely going to be aggressive, and it's not going to be easy to make a move, so you're going to have to get elbows out and go for a lunge down the inside. I think that is the right way to say it. Currently quickest in qualifying is Dylan McClemens, but he has set almost the same lap as Sean McGoldrick behind. So second and third in the championship for Dylan and Sean, first and second in qualifying. Oscar Mangan then in third, Ronan Doherty down to fourth, Sean McClemens in fifth. So Ronan is actually here tonight. Apologies, that's completely my error. Ronan is taken on the grid, and he has also got 5 podiums in 6 races, just like Oscar Mangan. But crucially, 3 of them for him have been race wins. So he's just ahead of Jordan Kelly in 5th, and it's last week's race winner Sean McClemens in 6th, and last week's almost race winner Peter McCann in 7th. Peter is looking to finally pick himself up a Heat 3 win and looking to rejuvenate himself in this championship. Tommy Buchanan down in 8th and ahead of Evan Walsh in 9th, and then it is Brian McCarthy in 10th. Only 4 minutes down in qualifying, still plenty of time to go. We have 23 runners here tonight, so it could get a little bit bunched up. I suppose that makes qualifying even more important then. Just looking back on what we were saying about the overtaking, Kevin, you got to get yourself a good grid slot here if you want to do well in this race.
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, like, race 1 leads to race 2, so the finish in race 1 leads to your starting position in race 2, so it's a double whammy effect. If you qualify badly, you get pinged for the first 2 races, and if you qualify really badly, you don't even have a chance of making that top 8 reverse grid for the 3rd race. So yeah, for the guys like Dylan McClemens, who's top at the moment, and Sean McGoldrick, who are chasing Oscar, this is a great opportunity. If they can try and eke out a really good qualifying lap, they can hold off Oscar Mangan for at least 2 races. Never know, Oscar might get desperate, he might try something, he might get himself into trouble. That's not unlike Oscar Mangan, but you never know. Desperation can cause mistakes. So yeah, for the likes of Dylan and Sean, it's really important. And also, like, for these guys, it's just really crucial that they don't start too far down, because you could really have a terrible evening this evening if you don't get your qualifying right. And there's some big names already who maybe aren't quite as high up as we would expect, so it'll just be interesting to see how that it all plays out, particularly this first race. How how much carnage we're going to see as guys try and make a move, maybe necessarily where it isn't done. So could be a night where the stewards have their hands full.
Yeah, and to be fair, the stewards haven't been that busy this season. Bar one or two big incidents, but other than that, it's kind of been relatively clean. That could be due to the nature of this Ford Mustang GT3, of course. It is a heavy car. It's not easy to overtake. That's what we've seen throughout the course of this season, and that makes times like this ever more important. This is Peter McCann you're looking at, heading through Thunder Valley and up towards the carousel. Currently best of anyone in the second sector, and then he set his personal best third sector on this lap. So in towards sector number 4, let's see what McCann can do. He might pick up a little bit of a slipstream on the main straight. No, not much of a slipstream, but every little helps, I suppose. And Peter McCann up towards the start-finish line. Where's he going to go? It's only going to be the one improvement. But he does manage to beat Sean McClements and Tommy Nuggerin. So McCann is up to 6th, and I suppose best of the rest, suppose you could say, is he's taking a little bit of a hop, skip, and a jump on the exit of turn number 1. Oscar Mangan goes quickest in qualifying. He beats McClements and McGoldrick, and that's more what we're used to with Oscar Mangan, who qualifying has not necessarily been his forte this season. Only the one pole coming in your last time out, Kevin, actually in Texas. So maybe you're Oscar's lucky omen.
Yeah, and it seems that he knows that I'm here. He just wants to show off, and I don't blame him. You know, it's nice when you have one of the OGs turning up. You want to put in a good performance. I'm sure that's not it's on his mind. No, it's great to see Oscar up the top, but I would love to see one of these guys of Dylan McClements and Sean McGoldrick maybe put in a little bit of a faster lap. I feel Oscar has the ability, he has the tools that he needs to be able to fend off these guys. But we've seen already he's been very strong in the championship, so it would be nice to have something just to liven up the race a little bit. Maybe give Oscar some bit of a challenge, trying to fight his way back. So it would be great to see, or even like somebody like a Jordan Kelly come up to the top and for them to battle it out, because you've seen great battles between Oscar and Jordan in the past. So yeah, just it would, as glad as I am to see Oscar up the top, I'd rather not see him up the top, if that makes sense.
Yeah, makes total sense. And actually in Canada, I know you wouldn't know this, Kevin, but the viewers at home might have remembered when Sean McGoldrick did actually fend off Oscar Mangan for an entire heat, the second heat. And then if we cast our eyes back to the Super Formula Championship, Dylan McClements fended off Jordan Kelly for an entire heat, a full 20-minute heat. So those two guys, if they did get in front, could make things very difficult for Oscar Mangan. But Ronan Doherty improves to second position. He has he took pole last week in Road America, wasn't able to take pole in Daytona, but he has one more pole this season, I believe. Yes, in Willow Springs he was able to take pole. So Ronan Doherty, a multi-time RTA champion as well. Of course, he won the Formula Ford 1600 championship as Dylan McClements goes quickest. So purple for Dylan McClements. Kevin's wish is obeyed by Dylan.
Yeah, and it is good though. I mean, Dylan's obviously a really, really quick guy, and it's great experience for him to be able to battle with the likes of Oscar Mangan, of course, before he starts stepping into more the higher echelons of real world racing. But yeah, I'd love to see like you see Ronan Doherty now, he's gone third, so all of a sudden now you've McClements, Mangan, Doherty, McGoldrick, McClements top 5, and that's going to be a really interesting. Oh, somebody spins out in the background there. That's the end of their qualifying lap. Yeah, it's just a really interesting narrative. I feel like if Oscar starts in the front, he is likely to pull away, but as you say, there's been instances in the past where, and as you said, this Mustang is a bit like the old M8 GT. Yes, M8 GTE car that BMW had, the big Chungus, and it's just a big bootied, heavy kind of, like as you say, it's almost like a muscle car masquerading as a GT3. So it takes up so much of the track, especially on a track like this. In Ohio, it's not a big wide track as it is a little private circuit. So yeah, it's I would be surprised if we see too many overtakes. So it'll be interesting to see how Oscar. I actually, I think we might see overtakes, but I think we're going to see overtakes that'll be planned from quite a bit back. This isn't the sort of track where you can kind of willy-nilly throw it in, hope for the best. This is one that you have to kind of plan ahead and think about how you're going to put the other guy off. So maybe more of a tactical battle as opposed to a kind of not a destruction derby, but you know what I mean, a kind of a let's just throw in a move and hope that it sticks kind of track.
Yeah, no, I agree wholeheartedly with that, because even in some past races around here, whether that be in IndyCar or NASCAR, that's exactly how it's gone. If anyone out there also likes to watch IndyCar, they might remember this track from this year where Alex Palou and Pato O'Ward had that sort of battle, and O'Ward was able to hold them off for 30, 40 laps, whatever it was. And then there's been plenty of previous races where that has been the case, so you definitely got to plan your move from very far back. Oscar Mangan just plans to get these final corners done correctly, because he is quickest of anyone in the first and second sector. Down across the line goes Oscar Mangan, and it will be ahead of Dylan McClellan. So Mangan is back on the pole here in the dying embers of qualifying for round 6 of the Mustang America's Cup, sponsored by the fabulous Motorsport.ie, of course. 3 minutes left in the session. Still plenty of time to get one more quicker lap in. Dylan McClements is not on that quicker lap. He's been told to get a hurry on and get out of the way of Oscar Mangan and one more driver behind. It is Ronan Doherty third, then it is Sean McGolick in fourth, ahead of Sean McClements in fifth. Jordan Kelly down in sixth. Do we expect maybe a bit better from him, Kevin?
Yeah, it's just been I'll try and put my teeth back in. It's a bit of a disappointing one from Jordan. You can see he's slower as well in the first two sectors, just not quite getting to grips with this combination of the Mustang and the Mid-Ohio Cup. I mean, these guys have had these vehicles in their hands now for the last couple of weeks. They should be well used to the handling of them, but I suppose each track brings its own set of challenges. Jordan just struggling a little bit. He does go quicker though. Must have been a particularly quick final sector. Up to third position, just eking out Ronan Doherty, but there is still, like, it's hard to see anybody toppling Oscar. I mean, Dylan went ahead, and then Oscar immediately bit back, so it shows that there's extra pace there for Oscar. He just needs somebody to bring it out in him, and it seems Dylan is doing that. Would be interesting to see if Dylan gets another shot, but looking at the clock, it looks very unlikely that he's going to better that time, so it looks like Oscar will, yeah, it seems like Oscar's going to stay top of the tree, and it'll be up to the rest of them, as it is indeed with the rest of this championship, to see if they can catch him.
Yeah, but I suppose if we hold Jordan Kelly to very high standards, because he is only 0.3 of a second off Oscar and 0.1 of a second off Dylan. This is Jamal Gandor, who we are seeing come in towards turn 1, and Jamal has been a man who has been on good form in recent weeks. He's had 4 top 10 finishes in a row, looking to continue on that from tonight. Himself and Evan Walsh have both actually got 4 top 10 finishes in a row. That's including Heat 3 in Daytona, and of course all the heats last week in Road America. Road America, a track that seemed to suit Jamal. Himself and Tommy Nooker were battling for probably the whole 2 hours or whatever it is that we were live. It seemed like they were always side by side on track. So Jamal looking to exert that pace again tonight. Ronan Doherty pips Dylan McClements onto the front row of the grid. So Doherty goes to second. There's not many improvements in the session so far, as Ronan Doherty under now 1/10 of a second to Oscar Mangan. Dylan McClements comes in the pit lane, as that is somebody off at the first sector. I think it could have been just someone finishing their session. Here is Jamal Gandor. He is one of few improving on track. John McDonald with a personal best as well in the second sector, as there's another car gone round behind. But it looks like it's Oscar Mangan's pole here, Kevin.
Yeah, Oscar Mangan takes pole, and indeed the championship leader at that. Not a huge gap between himself, only 0.07 of a second between himself and Ronan Doherty in second, and then Dylan McClements just being pushed slightly back again. But it is very, very tight. I mean, we do always tend to expect that. That was a good lap as well, put in by Jamal Gandor, as you said. He's now in 9th position, right at the end there, just snuck in a lap. So yeah, it's very, very tight. It's a tight track. If we don't see any incidents, I would expect to see a bit of perhaps a train. It's just up then to when do you make that move, because I think these guys are going to be bunched fairly close together if Oscar doesn't speed away to begin with, which means that, you know, you'll have pressure from behind, you'll have pressure from in front, somebody might miss their braking marker, all of a sudden they're kind of forced into making a move when they don't necessarily want to. So yeah, it will be very, very interesting. It's kind of one of those tracks where you're going to have to drive with an eye in each. You know, you have to have your right eye in the mirror and almost your left eye in the road, because there's going to be so much busyness behind you, especially in the first couple of laps. We expect to see some instance, but yeah, it's going to be a very tight track, not a whole lot of space, very big cars, and a group of guys who are extremely, as you can see in front of you, extremely close in the timing table.
Yeah, so it is Oscar Mangan who will start on the front row alongside Ronan Doherty in second. Dylan McClements then will start third. He's just ahead of Jordan Kelly. Sean McGoldrick and Sean McClements have an all Sean third row. Then it is Peter McCann and Tommy Nookeran in seventh and eighth. Jamal Gandor and Evan Walsh just behind them. We mentioned them together. They start together in ninth and 10th. John McDonald ahead of Brian McCarthy. Then it is Simon Hutchings, Kevin Joyce, Colin Carrigan. Then it is B Series leader Stuart Brereton ahead of Tony Stack, Andrew Murphy, Ryan Smith, and Gary Corcoran, Philip Upson, Rory O'Shea, and then Lawrence de Soswa starts in 23rd. So I think Lawrence is going for one of his traditional last to first, and he's looking to put the pieces together after his recent trip to Legoland. He's back this week. We hope he had a good time there. Or do we really? But Rory O'Shea, actually, I've just noticed, is down the back. Didn't get a time in, so he could be another one who could cause some problems cutting through the field here, Kevin. We know Rory is more of a single-seater racer, but he still has his moments and still has his pace in this Mustang.
Yeah, he does, absolutely. Rory is, as you say, he's probably kind of in the upper end of the midfield, so for him to be at the back of the grid, that's really below where his pace would be. I wonder, will fines start coming in now for these last to front challenges for Lawrence de Soswa? I'm beginning to wonder, are we seeing a trend here? But to be fair to Lawrence, he's always been good at bits and pieces, so you know, Lego should have been right up his alley. But yeah, Roy O'Shea would be an interesting one, and it would be great to see Lawrence do well. But yeah, this whole last to front business, I'm not too sure. It's all very Dave Cam for my liking.
To be fair, whenever he's tried it, he's actually done a pretty decent job at it. In Daytona, he got up to 5th in the final heat. Montreal, he was doing well, but then had an absolute disaster in the final race and had a spin heading through the third corner. So let's see what he can do in Mid-Ohio. Obviously, he wasn't racing in Road America, so we didn't get to see the traditional LD back to front there. We have a full formation lap here in Mid-Ohio. Thankfully, not as long as Road America. The formation laps, I think I was watching it back, were about 5 minutes long in Road America, so we're not getting even close to that here. But it could be very interesting going down to the first corner. I wonder, is Ronan Doherty going to challenge Oscar Mangan?
Yeah, I suppose it's hard to know when. I mean, there's so few opportunities here. You might as well get it done early if you can, but obviously Oscar has the jump and has so much experience in the sim, has so much experience in all of these tracks. He probably has previous experience of racing here, knows. I know it's a lesser race track actually, which is a bit of a pity. I think Kieran, VIR are slightly unloved tracks, and actually excellent private tracks that are excellent for racing. As we about to go green, when will Oscar make that jump? And he seems like he's gone.
Yes, we go racing here at Mid-Ohio. Brilliant start by Sean McClements. He's up to 4th here, but Dylan and Sean side by side, the two McClements brothers. Oscar Mangan is up and away into the first corner. Crucially was given that inside line because he got the pole position. You can see Tommy Nookeran just pulling out a line as well, but Tommy is under pressure from Evan Walsh, and big lunge down the inside from Evan Walsh. 1, 2, 3 cars potentially in towards the keyhole for the first time. Evan Walsh is up to 6th place, and that's a brilliant opportunistic driving from him. 4 positions gained at the race start. Tony Stack has gained 5. Kevin Joyce down the back, he seems to have had a problem down towards the turn 4 right-hander for the first time. Tommy Nookeran looking to fight back here at Peter McCann as Evan Walsh and Sean McGoldrick side by side, and there goes Tommy Nookeran. The finishman's had a problem.
Yeah, I would like to go have a look back at that again, because I was so focused on Evan, I didn't see Nookeran coming in the background, but he was in trouble earlier on. Super move by Evan Walsh. We'll come back and look at that as well, hopefully. This is the Nookeran incident, so keep an eye on that checkerboard orange and black car in behind. I think that's Sean McGoldrick, and let's see, Nookeran goes down the inside, and there's a tap. There is a touch from the car behind. I'm not sure who that is, but tap from the touch behind, and it could be Jamal. It's black and blue. Jamal Gandor, yeah. Thanks to Ronan in the background as ever for clearing that up for us. Jamal Gandor tapping into the back, and I suspect the stewards will look down on that. There was never a move on there. Obviously, not an honest mistake by Jamal. I think just slightly misjudged things, and unfortunately for the Finn, he found himself facing the wrong way.
Yes, and look at this. Oscar Mangan immediately having to go defensive. Ronan Doherty has ran a little bit wide, though, and this is going to invite Jordan Kelly, who slides out of the corner. Ronan just dips on the grass, and that's going to jeopardise his run down turn 3 and turn 4. Turn 3, just this flat-out kink. Turn 4 is the big one you got to watch for overtaking. And Ronan Doherty, I think he's going to be okay here, actually. I think Jordan wasn't able to get a proper run on Ronan due to his own mistake, but Oscar Mangan getting away with that one. Goes to show the outside line doesn't really work in towards turn number 2. We saw Evan go down the inside and make the move stick, but Ronan couldn't do similar around the outside.
Evan, a superb move from Evan, overtaking 3 cars. Definitely one of the moves of the season from Evan Walsh, sporting that tri-coloured Mustang, certainly showing his national pride on the day of the Rose of Tralee, obviously our national, what is this, our proxy national festival. No, great move from Evan Walsh there, in fairness, slipping down the inside, and he's in a great position now in 6th. He has Sean McGoldrick all over the back of him. Good gap between himself and Sean McClements, and it seems like that top 5 are the ones that are going to pull away here, because there is a huge gap there. It's going to be hard to make up here. Is that move from Evan with the now down the back Tommy Nuker in front. Evan just staying down the inside, and Tommy broke early and Evan just shot down the inside. There you go, taking 2 in one go. Superb move from Evan in that one. And yeah, that's we talked about it not being an overtaking track, but I suppose if you're brave and bold enough, you can make it happen.
Yeah, it looked even better from that camera angle, actually, than the head-on one. That was incredible. Just broke way later than everyone and chucked it down the inside. Everyone kind of being careful in towards that right-hander. I don't think Evan wants to break that late every lap, but he did, and now he is ahead of Sean McGoldrick. But Sean and Peter putting the pressure on Evan Walsh. Peter and Sean, of course, both in similar liveries. That's because they're representing the VRA Racing. The rest of the VRA cars in blue, white and red for America, presumably, but Evan staying in the green, white and orange. This is Jordan Kelly you're looking at, and the top 3 starting to space out a little bit, so I think Kevin Galvin might have been on the ball and saying Oscar can control this one from the front.
Yeah, it's just the thing about Oscar is he, you know, if he had been to tried to challenge a little bit, that certainly could have brought in others as well. Even Evan now under savage pressure from Sean McGoldrick, and I'm not really sure how much longer Evan Walsh can hold on here. There's Sean doing really well in this championship, obviously finding these cars very comfortable, and there you go, just squeezing him out. But Evan's sticking in, and in fairness, he's keeping the right foot in, and he's going to have the inside for the next corner, which is where we saw that superb move. Looks like Sean is slightly outbraking, but Evan obviously has the better line, and Sean's going to have to leave him go. But this is interesting, because with those guys battling, that's going to make it even easier now for the rest of them to pull away. And for Sean McGoldrick, he's under pressure here. He's obviously battling up the front of the championship, wants to keep there, but he's seeing all of his other championship contenders 2.5 seconds, 3 seconds down the road. He's battling here with Evan. You can see the desperation coming in for Sean McGoldrick. He's really now starting to see a potential championship, not a potential championship fade away, but certainly a lot of his championship rivals pulling away in the distance. And as we said earlier, Evan, this is a very hard place to overtake. Plus you have race 2, which is going to be decided on the basis of this race. So Sean's going to have to do it all over again in race 2 if he can't get it done the next couple of minutes.
Yes, Evan Walsh making his Mustang 3 times as wide as it is, and now because Sean McGoldrick's not able to make the move, Peter McCann is looking to make the move on him. And Sean, who always sort of aimed for the top 5 in the championship, he seems to have higher ambitions here in the Mustang America's Cup, sponsored by Motorsport.ie, of course. And he's looking to cut through and ahead of Evan Walsh as they head through turn number 1. This is where Sean went for the move in the last lap. Not close enough here on this trip round, so he's going to wait for the hairpin. And Evan Walsh just running a little bit wide, but seems to be able to carry more speed through there because of it. And he is well ahead of Sean McGoldrick. Unfortunately for Sean, it seems like the sector where he is quicker than Evan Walsh, or where he is quickest, is the one where you can't really overtake.
Yeah, it's really frustrating, and tracks like this are really frustrating when you do have that overspeed, but you're not fast enough when you want to be fast enough, and then when you are fast, you're having to take your foot off the pedal, because, you know, it's like being, I don't know, it's like being on a national road and being slightly stuck behind a tractor, every time you put your foot down, you feel like you're almost going to go into the back of the guy in front of you. So you're kind of holding off, but you're trying to time it in a way that you can get on the pedal. But it's all timing. It's all timing. It's timing. It's bravery. It's spatial awareness. You see the lights flashing here now as it becomes desperate, and there goes Evan Walsh. And I'm not sure whether there was contact there. It seems like there more than likely was. We'd have to see that. You could see the lights flashing from Dylan McClements, from Sean McGoldrick, should I say. I thought that was a sign of frustration, and you can see Evan maybe just pushing a little bit too much. Can't see track temperatures now on my screen at the moment, but maybe just overdid it slightly, Evan, because it was an interesting battle. But obviously now Sean's going to get through. It'll be interesting to see what time he can make up. Probably a bit too late in this race to try and have a go off the leaders.
Yes, that's Lawrence de Soswa having a problem, but we saw Evan Walsh making a mistake in the final sector, and the John Deere pulled into a gateway and let Sean McGoldrick through. But he's still under pressure actually from behind, and Peter McCann is actually going ahead of Sean McGoldrick, it seems. So McGoldrick got past one VRA racing car, and now he's behind another. Peter McCann is up to 6th place, McGoldrick down to 7th, Jamal Gans all right on the tail of these in 8th. We saw a problem there for Lawrence de Soswa. We seem to have an issue for Colin Carrigan as well, or at least he's lost 2 positions to both John McDonald and Rory O'Shea a little bit further back. So there's a little bit of moving and shaking in this field. Lawrence getting back ahead of Philip Upson, trying to regain some lost ground. But the real fight is this battle for 6th, and Sean McGoldrick must be fairly frustrated now, because when he got his lucky break, it was snatched away from him just as quick as it happened. And now he has to do it all again and try to get past the car in front.
Yeah, it's exceptionally frustrating. I suppose the only saving grace for Sean McGoldrick is, should he finish here you can see those lights flashing like mad, trying to move Peter McCann out of the way. I suppose, look, we have a reverse grid in race 3. Again, this is a track that it's hard to overtake. If Sean finds it difficult to get back up in the second race, he might have an opportunity in the final race to do what Evan did for a large portion of this race, just try and block the others out from behind. But yeah, exceptionally frustrating for Sean McGoldrick, because, as you said, he's fast in the places where you can't overtake. So really, he could probably try and pull down this lead, although it is very unlikely, even if he had overtaken Peter McCann, to try and pull back that lead. But he does have a speed advantage over the course of a lap. He just can't put the power down when he needs to. You can see here now how close he comes to that beautifully Gantry TV sponsored number 13 car. It's a fantastic logo, by the way. I don't know who designed it, but whoever they did should definitely get a pay rise. And that's a bit of a mistake from Peter McCann, which is going to allow Sean McGoldrick down the inside. So as it enthused about the logo, it seems like the man who was sporting it. Oh, it's contact then. Big contact between McGoldrick and McCann. That's a hard one, Evan, isn't it? It's a hard one, because
let's have another look at this one on the Gantry TV instant replay. This is the same corner where we saw Evan Walsh go around. His was on his own accord. This one is not, and I think, I don't know.
It's very hard to tell. It's very hard to tell from the angle that we have, because it's hard to see how much space McGoldrick gave McCann. When you look at it from that angle, it looks like McCann almost drives into the side of Sean McGoldrick. But if you actually, you can see it's hard to tell from this angle. Maybe we'll get
that's very difficult to tell.
It's very hard. It's tight. You could argue that potentially there's enough space for Peter to get in there, but it's very tight. All I would say is that Sean certainly didn't give him an enormous amount of space, but is it a racing incident? I think it has to be a racing incident, really, doesn't it? Like, it'll go to the stewards, but I think it's hard to apportion blame on one particular party there, even though I know both of them will be, no doubt, as it stands right now, probably talking about it and having a conversation about it, but the stewards ultimately will decide. But it looked to me like it was a bit of a racing incident as Oscar Mangan crossed the line. In amongst all that, Oscar takes yet another race win and further consolidates his lead at the top of the championship.
Yes, the championship leader has not won since the Circuit of the Americas, heat number 3, but the championship leader does extend his lead, at least in heat number 1. Ronan Doherty will come home in second, Jordan Kelly in third, Dylan and Sean McClemens fourth and fifth. As we look a little bit further back, you can see John McDonald, Simon Hutchings and Rory O'Shea fighting McDonald coming home in 12th. This is a little bit further back. This is two of our spinners, Tommy Nookeran, and that could be Philip Upson in front of him, as yes, it is Philip Upson. Not Lawrence de Soswa. There's Lawrence just at the back of your picture coming through. But a very solid win for Oscar Mangan.
Yeah, led from the front and didn't pull away massively from the rest of the field in the way that perhaps he's done in the past, but certainly very professional, I would say. Very professional job from Oscar Mangan, just, managing the gap, not making any mistakes, really forcing the guys behind to try and make a position as opposed to giving it away. But I mean, look, Ronan Doherty finishing in second place, that's a great result for him considering where he started. Jordan Kelly as well. Like, I mean, I'm just trying to look at where we are in the places, or we've already gone into race 2, so I can't see, but there's a couple of these guys have made a lot of really good places. But for Dylan McClemens, disappointing to be finishing fourth. I think he'll be disappointed with that, Evan.
Yes, as a confirmation of your Heat Run 1 results, and this is, of course, your starting grid for Heat number 2. Oscar Mangan takes the win, Ronan Doherty in second, Jordan Kelly in third. Then it is Dylan McClemens ahead of Sean McClemens, then Sean McGoldrick, Jamal Gandor, Brian McCarthy, Evan Walsh, Tony Stack. Then it is Simon Hutchings, John McDonald, Rory O'Shea, Peter McCann, Colin Carrigan, Stuart Brereton, Andrew Murphy, Philip Upson, Tommy Nooker and Lawrence de Soswa, Gary Corcoran, Kevin Joyce and Ryan Smith. So not too much of a shuffle up from qualifying, but crucially it'll be the same two going in towards turn number 1, first and second.
Yeah, first two again, and very interesting to see, I suppose, even the likes of Jordan Kelly. Like, will he have a go? Like, does he have anything to lose now in this championship by having a go here? Very disappointed for Peter McCann. Felt like he really deserved a good finish there. He was a superb drive, especially to get past Sean McGoldrick in amongst all that craziness with Evan Walsh, but disappointing for Peter. Probably not really where he deserved to finish, but okay, another 2 races to go, so it'll be an interest to see if he can crack his way back into the top 10, maybe towards the top 8 in this race, and potentially start near the front of the grid, because that's probably where he would have started, all things going well. So yeah, interesting. Certainly a few battle lines drawn already between some of these guys, so it'll be interesting to see if any of that bleeds into race number 2. Of course, 15 minutes, same amount of points across all 3 races, and this starting grid made up from the finishing places in race 1. So if you've just joined us, do welcome along. Thank you very much for joining us on Gantry TV. Of course, Gantry TV on the YouTube. You can subscribe to us clicking the button and clicking the bell, and do check out Motorsport.ie as well on Facebook. They're great sponsors, partners to the series. Leonaldi doing a great job in terms of promoting the series as well, so you can, if you're watching on his Facebook, hello to all of you there as well, and thank you for your continued support of not only Motorsport.ie but also our series.
Yes, big thanks to all of you for watching. In terms of the top 10, which Kevin briefly mentioned, there was a lot of steady results, I think. Evan Walsh won, who actually recovered to 9th, even with that spin, so very decent job there by Evan. Brian McCarthy had a great heat 1 as well. Jamal Gandor, I should say, looking rock solid in that first heat, and he could be one to watch potentially heading in towards the second sector. Very hard to overtake in that first heat. The 2 McClemens brothers as well, they had a solid drive, but all will be decided here in the 15-minute heat. Remember, we reversed the top 8 for this one, so if you finish 8th, you will get the pole for heat number 3, but of course you want to score the points as well by winning, so Oscar Mangan knows that. He's going to try and do exactly what he did the last time round and lead from the front.
Yeah, absolutely. And judging by Jamal Gandor's livery, he's going to have absolutely no problem getting himself up for this one. So we're really looking forward to seeing if he can raise his performance again in the Viagra sponsored 961 car to shoot up the
stiff competition.
The stiff competition. That is fair. No, that's good. That was good on it. I really enjoyed that. Okay, let's get back to the serious stuff. Oscar immediately, once again, burning off the line as we go racing. Evan, I've stolen your line.
Yes, we go racing it towards turn number 1, and I tell you what, Ronan Doherty's under a lot more pressure this time round than he was the last, because Oscar Mangan's got away well. He hasn't necessarily, and Jordan Kelly and Sean McClements are right behind it. Sean Elise Dillon, as there's a couple of cars off in the background, that one of them, I believe, is the B Series leader, Stuart Brereton, as Sean McGoldrick taking a bit of the grass going down the inside. He is ahead of Jamal Gandor now, and there is Dylan McClements falling down the order. There's Jamal Gandor now off and into the wall. And that is Rory O'Shea, I believe, cutting through the field as well. Evan Walsh is up to 5th. Colin Carrigan, 13th spot. 3 abreast down towards turn number 4 here. It's Evan Walsh ahead of Brian McCarthy and Sean McGoldrick, but a lot of drama in the first couple of corners.
Yeah, that was a really hard start for Jamal, in fairness to him. And there's so much going on there, absolute craziness. So we saw the two of Brereton and Andrew Murphy coming together. That was a real surprise. You say B leader, a very strange one. It seemed like maybe Netcode kind of firing themselves into each other the way they came across. Then Jamal getting tangled up, and unfortunately, as you know, a stiff end to his race, and followed then by, you have Simon Hutchins, who spun off, and like Evan Walsh was the Dukes of Hazzard in the first corner, off in the distance. So it was a very hectic start. We did say that guys were going to get more frustrated as the race went on, and they were all bunched up. But that's really disappointing, as McGoldrick is going back to the pits. I wonder, will Jamal Gandor also limp back to the pits after that disappointing opening lap?
Yeah, Sean McGoldrick in the pit lane for some repairs, as is Stuart Brereton. Jamal Gandor, we saw, hit the wall, got a bit of damage. He might need to get some fresh rubber, as Tony Stack is heading down the back straight, looking to attack Brian McCarthy. Peter McCann as well, looking to overtake Rory O'Shea. Good race start by Rory O'Shea, actually. He's up to 9th spot, avoiding all that mid-pack chaos. Is John McDonald able to get past Tony Stack? No, he isn't. He'll stay behind for the time being. So all remaining the same on the second lap here. We have 15 minutes in this heat to race, about 13 or so to go, and it is Oscar Mangan that leads.
Yeah, and to be fair, I mean, Jamal Gandor is no Johnny come lately, so he should be able to get back into this championship, despite the fact that he's had a disappointing evening this evening. Even with the Viagra, sometimes you can have a disappointing evening. But for Oscar up the front, he's just again controlling things here, and once again, big gap between those guys in the front and those guys left behind. And Peter McCann, as we see, into 10th already. Dylan McClements, been a really disappointing evening for him, Peter. Evan, should I say?
Peter.
Sorry, I don't know where that came from. I was looking at Peter McCann's name when I was very disappointed for Dylan, though. Like, qualified P2, P3 in the opening race, and now finds himself outside the top 10.
Yeah, it has been disappointing, actually. I'm not sure what really happened to him on the first lap, but certainly something, because he was with side by side with his brother, and now he has dropped down the order. This Mid-Ohio circuit, actually a circuit filled with good memories for Sean and Dylan McClements. Their father Niall actually built the quickest ever 250 engine to go around here. It was the fastest ever recorded average lap in the whole of the USA. So just a bit of a shout out there. And Sean's still running 4th. He still had a solid evening. It's just Dylan, unfortunately, who's fallen down to 11th. Looking to overtake Evan Dalton. Peter McCann in 10th, who is just behind Rory O'Shea, and then John McDonald in front. John, another man who is just creeping up the order, having a good race for himself. Of course, having Hello Gantry TV written across the top of his car. So we've been rooting for John since.
Hello, John. Just some of the biggest movers and shakers as I go down the list. Darcy Soswa up 7 places to 13th, Kevin Joyce up 8 places to 14th, and then up to top as well, you have Evan Walsh who's up 4 places to 5th. I mean, it's fantastic to Evan be back in the top 5 after that disappointing spin in the opening race. John McDonald, Rory O'Shea, Peter McCann all up, Evan Walsh all up 4 places, and Colin Garrigan up 3. So the top 3 unchanged, but for a lot of these guys, Race 2 has presented a great opportunity, and Evans is a great example of what we were talking about earlier. Just stick in it. You might have a disappointing first race, something might go wrong, but stick with it. You might find yourself back up the front of the pack before we get to the end of the evening.
Evan Walsh looking to stick in it, so is Jamal. No, you get the rest. Ronan Doherty is right on, sorry, Jordan Kelly, I should say, is right on the tail of Ronan Doherty. Oscar Mangan is about a second in front of Ronan Doherty. So this could be a very interesting battle between two who have battled time and time again here on Gantry TV. Jordan Kelly and Ronan Doherty fighting for many various different championships. They're fighting once again here in Motorsport.ie Mustang Cup. And oh, there's a problem for Brian McCarthy, who seems to be dropping down the order. That is a car on the grass that looks to be heading in through Thunder Valley, and that is a very precarious position he's got himself into, and does seem to be stuck now, not able to get back on the circuit. Here's the Gantry TV replay. Let's see what happened with McCarthy. Yeah, I can already tell he's probably gone off on his own here. There's no one really near him unless he was avoiding a car that spun in front. Was it just rotating around the hill? Yeah, unfortunately a mistake there for Brian. He's going to have to put his tail between his legs with that one.
Yeah, and it's the problem is just trying to get his tail facing the right way around, because spinning over there, they're coming up over the hill. It's a very, as you said, Peter, I mean Evan, a very precarious position to be in. So it's yeah, it's very hard to kind of extract yourself from that position. Here's a good battle now between Rory O'Shea and Tony Stack. Tony has the inside line, and behind them, of course, we have Dylan McClemens, who's now up 8 places with all that carnage. Or sorry, up to 3 places with all that carnage, back up to 8th. But he'll be watching these guys intently. Rory O'Shea looks to have had that move done, and the slips down the inside does Dylan. It's going to put Tony under some serious pressure. A little bit of a butting of heads between the two of them, and a second, going in for seconds. That would be a red card in the Premier League, given what was nonsense happened last week. But it's all fair in love and just what Jorik's racing, I suppose. But anyway, Lawrence Sosva, he is certainly a man who never comes late, and he is in a good position now, coming in 11th place and putting all kinds of pressure all over the back of Colin Carrigan.
Yeah, that was a really good move by Dylan McClemens to get it done through turn number 7 and turn number 8, and he is now up to 7th place. Really, really skillful to get in front of Tony Stack, who I'm surprised isn't taking the night off to watch the Rose of Tralee, the Kerryman. He took the night off to watch Kelly Harrington's fight, so he's not keeping loyal to his fellow Kerrymen and women, and Tony Stack is looking to defend from Peter McCann now, and McCann looking to try get onto that reverse grid pole. McCann got very hard done by last week in Road America, and he would like to avenge his issues from there and win here in the 3rd heat at Mid-Ohio. Now he's the inside line for turn number 4. This is definitely the preferred line, and Peter McCann will look to get in front of Tony Stack, but Stack, is he going to keep his guard on the inside? He isn't. Peter McCann's up and ahead. Yeah,
you can always tell over the course of a race night who's very comfortable on the track. Oh, that's a big contact between Sean McGoldrick and Gary Corcoran, and Corcoran forced out wide, but McGoldrick getting the job done. He's been in the wars, has Sean McGoldrick tonight. But you can always tell certain drivers are particularly comfortable on tracks, or particularly, you can see how they overtake, how they almost seem like they have more time than they do. That looks like the case for Peter McCann, and I'm gonna call it here now. I think that Peter McCann will win the final race this evening. That I'm gonna put it out there.
If he doesn't, you more than likely will end up in his news piece that he sends every Wednesday morning.
The risk I'm willing to take.
Yeah, fair enough. Bit of publicity now that you're back from travelling. Bit of publicity, get the name back out there. As Jordan Kelly, who we saw was right on the back of Ronan Doherty, is still right on the back of Ronan Doherty, but hasn't been able to make a move. And oh, that's actually a mistake from Ronan Doherty. So now we might be able to make a move, just as we say that. Doherty having a massive slide in towards turn number 4. Now could be under a little bit of pressure heading in towards the back sector. Oscar Mangan is up and away up the road. Oscar has he has won 2 races once in RTA. That was his first 2 races in Willow Springs. Ronan Doherty went on to win the 3rd heat in that one, so he'd love to try and win 3, but will be very difficult with the overtaking at this track and with the reverse grid. I'm thoroughly looking forward to that one. Hope you folks at home are as well. Gary Corcoran making some moves ahead of Simon Hutchings. Jamal Gandor getting ahead of Stuart Brereton, our B Championship leader, but they are swapping and changing. This is Dylan McClemens right on the tail of Rory O'Shea, as now we see Jamal Gandor, who gets ahead of Stuart Brereton. A nice move by Jamal. He's up and ahead and looking to get back up the field here in this one.
Yeah,
And that
better
one wasn't
latex than
actually a
never
joke. He
for
genuinely
Jamal.
is looking to get back up the field.
I was going to say, yeah, but better latex than ever for Jamal to get ahead, if I was to. And he's starting to come back a little bit, but unfortunately he blew his load too early, which is just as well, considering what he's sponsored by. So he's in trying to see down the thing, standing 17th at the moment. But there is, as you said, that battle there we saw there between Jordan Kelly and Ronan Darty, like. Ronan's mistake in this very same corner that we just saw is a great example of how the reverse grid race is going to be so interesting, because even mistakes like that, you can get away with little mistakes. You can't get away with big mistakes, track is tight, you're going to go off, but you can get away with little mistakes, little losses of traction, maybe a little bit too eager on the loud pedal. You can kind of get away with them in certain sections because the track twists one way and the other way, and it's very hard to try and get yourself alongside door to door. So yeah, it's going to be, I think the reverse grid race has the potential for absolute fireworks. I'm really looking forward to it. Obviously, a good few minutes left of this. It looks like Oscar is home and hosed, but still, there is a little bit of a score to settle between these two. As we see Rory O'Shea, that's really unfortunate for Rory O'Shea, perpendicular to the track, and goes back to the pits. Let's see what happened here, Evan.
Yeah, it looked like the first corner, but I don't think it is. I think it's up the hill in towards turn number 10 and 11 of Thunder Valley, and he had McClements behind him, I believe. And it's very similar to what Evan Walsh did. McClements doing very well there to avoid. He's learned from his brother's woes in Montreal. Yep, just similar spin to what Evan Walsh did, but O'Shea not able to recover and keep going.
It is disappointing for Rory O'Shea, because obviously he started at the back and worked all his way up into the top 10. Was doing really well in that high pre car, did Rory, but just an unfortunate one. Just to show you as well how difficult it is. I always think when you're watching these guys up front, it almost looks like from the outside, well, you get more of a sense of the grip on the inside, but on the outside, as John McDonald tries to close off Sean McGoldrick, and he's going to do enough there just to force McGoldrick out wide, and he's going to have to plan and plot his way through this further. But sometimes it can almost seem like the cars are on rails. You almost get a sense that there's loads of grip, there's an unlimited amount of grip, and all these guys are making most of it, and it's actually just tootling around, and there's no reason why they couldn't go any faster, as John McDonald makes a slight mistake there, and now he's going to be around the outside, and he's really struggling here on the back tyres as John McDonald. And we've seen that a few times. That we've just seen it in the last couple of minutes. I wonder, is the heat starting to play a factor? Are guys starting to wear out the tyres? It's a high wear track, of course, a lot of very high speed corners, so be interesting to see whether that comes in. I think track, am I right in saying that's 48 degrees on screen? So that's a very, very hot track temp. So even though it looks like, especially the guys up front make it look like these cars are on rails, there's actually a huge amount of micro corrections going on, and if you don't get it right, you can find yourself like Rory O'Shea or like John McDonald trying to steer yourself out of a power slide.
Yes, and here is Tommy Nukaran right on the back of Tony Stack, looking to make a move down towards turn number 4. He had a good run for the first corner, and now he's looking to try and get ahead. Lawrence de Soswa and Peter McCann fighting behind. Here comes Tommy Nukaran down the inside. Is this going to be move successful for the Finishman, who unfortunately got his evening started the wrong way, but he's looking to fight back now, and down the inside here would be very difficult, but he still has a car now, backs out of it. Probably a smart decision by Tommy Nukaran, to be honest. He probably would have ended up taking out himself and Tony. He had gone for the lunge there, but now he can have another go maybe on the final lap. And there is Peter McCann, who has spun round, and we might have to get another look at this one, because he was fighting with Lawrence de Soswa and then took a tip round. But McCann is getting going, although won't be starting on that reverse grid like he so badly wants to. Let's have a look at the Gantry TV replay. He was on the grass there.
Yeah, didn't quite get back to it. I mean, interesting to see. We saw him tumble down the standings, and I wonder, is there damage now on the back of that? You can just see, there you go. There's the spin. But I wonder, was that caused? Is that cause or effect? I wonder, is that the effect of the damage that was sustained in an earlier instant from Peter McCann? Because you can see the tyre tracks coming off. It's really disappointing. I have to say, I did put the kibosh on Peter McCann. I know I'm going to be in the newspapers now in the morning, but I really did think Peter had great pace, and he still does have great pace in this track. It's just a pity that he's not going to really be able to show it now. He's going to be starting way outside that top 8, Really disappointing evening for Peter. I think he'd great pace and was very strong, but just caught up in a couple of incidents. And it's very easy to say stay out of trouble, but it's when the track temperature is 48 and you're trying to wrestle these cars around for what are we on the bones of 15 laps. It's hard to do as Oscar Mangan comes up to across the line.
Yes, it's going to be 2 from 2 for Oscar Mangan as Ronan Doherty follows him home in second. Jordan Kelly gapped down to third, so disappointing for Jordan, but he'll be starting the highest of the three. Sean McClemens continues his good form. No podium yet tonight, but that all changed last week in Heat 3 at Road America. Here's Evan Walsh in fifth. Great recovery from him. Has a very solid starting position and good pace for Heat number 3. Dylan McClemens will follow him home in sixth ahead of Tony Stack and Tommy Nukaran. So Nukaran will start on the reverse grid pole. Lawrence Soswet will come home in ninth as there's a bit of a drag to the line between Carrigan and McGoldrick, but Colin Carrigan will stay in front. So if statistics are your thing and they're anything to go by, it could be Ronan Doherty to win the third heat, because it's been the exact same as Willow Springs so far. Oscar wins 1 and 2. And Ronan won Heat 3 there, but this is a very different track to Willow Springs, I think. Here's the battle for the minor placings, and Simon Hutchings doesn't have a rear spoiler.
Yeah, that's only a minor detail, really. Simon obviously getting caught up in some very early incidents. I wonder, was there contact from behind, which is what caused that spoiler to come off, because we did see him spin off. But yeah, classified standings for race number 2, of course, these aren't final standings. These are only provisional based on what the stewards have to say afterwards. But another win for Oscar Mangan. And as you say, Ronan Doherty and Jordan Kelly now will start ahead of Oscar. Be interesting to see how that all plays out. Tommy Nukaran as well with the reverse grid poles, so an opportunity for him to make things up after a disappointing race 1.
Yeah, so it is Mangan, Doherty, Kelly. Then further down, it is McGoldrick, McClemens. Then it is, sorry, my timing screen has changed. It is McClemens, Walsh. Then the other McClemens. Then it is Tony Stack ahead of Tommy Nukaran. Then it is De Soswa, Carrigan, McGoldrick. Then John McDonald, Jamal Gandor, Stuart Brereton, Kevin Joyce, Brian McCarthy, Simon Hutchings, and Gary Corcoran rounds out your top 18. We'll run through the grid further, folks, when the time comes to it. But let's hear from some of your podium placers in a quick interview before we get started for heat number 3. So we will hear from the race winner of the first 2 heats first, Oscar Mangan. And Oscar, pretty dominant from you so far tonight.
Yeah, it's worked out pretty well. It's not a track I actually particularly enjoy, but I've driven it kind of recently, so for qualifying for a different series, and it kind of just seems to transition from car to car. So just sort of put the head down and bang in the laps and kind of just see what happens.
And then obviously you haven't had to fight anyone tonight, but overtaking has looked pretty difficult. So for the reverse grid race, what are your tactics? Are you going to just play it by ear, or is there any clear ambition?
I was just talking to Ronan there, and we're both kind of agreement that the tires are really crying to hang on. So we'll see what happens in the first lap, and after everything settles, maybe just kind of see and kind of let people in front kind of burn their tires up a bit and kind of take advantage then. But yeah, it's really difficult to pass here, and the slipstream in these is pretty minuscule. So it'll just be a case of trying to, I guess, pressure people into mistakes in front and see what happens.
In terms of the tires, then, is it mostly the hot track temps that's affecting them, or is it just the nature of this circuit? Because it is very twisty and turny in the final couple of sectors.
I'd say it's probably a mixture of both. The left rear just is under constant usage around the whole lap, and it's mainly that tire that seems to just be unable to hang on. And it's kind of all the low speed stuff is actually surprisingly where it's the hardest to hang on to. The high speed, it's pretty stable. So it's just a case, yeah, just keeping the back in check and just keep it straight.
Oscar, thank you very much for joining us, and all going well. We will chat to you again later.
Thanks, guys.
I'm going to hand it over to Kevin now to speak second place man in both heats, Ronan Doherty.
Hi Ronan, and congratulations as well on your second place finish in both. I know obviously it's not the top spot that you would otherwise crave. Oscar Mangan was just with us there. He was talking about tyres. He says that the rear left particularly seems to be struggling with the high track temps. Anywhere you can save the rear left as you head into this race, because obviously there's going to be guys ahead of you, but as Oscar was saying, you'd hope that they might end up using up their tyres a little bit more, and with a 20-minute race, of course, it does mean that you're pushing them for another 5 minutes, which means another couple of laps as well.
Yeah, I mean, it's very difficult to look after these tires. I mean, you've seen even in the second race, all three of us at the front struggled at some point. I was the first to make a slight slide, and then your tires are effectively gone for 3 laps. So I dropped about a second off of Oscar, and Jordan was all over me. Then Jordan done it, and he dropped way off me, and Oscar done it, and I pulled a second on him in the last 3 laps. So, I mean, it's sort of hard to predict. When you're going to get a slide around here, there's not a lot of roll in this setup, and then around this track, you're just getting some random snaps. But yeah, the rear left is definitely giving away quite a lot.
Yeah, and look, and this is obviously a discussion for another day, but just the way iRacing and the tire physics and that are you kind of feeling it here a lot more than in other tracks, because you don't really get it doesn't really get a chance to, especially in the final sector. Like if you, as you say, if you make a mistake in the final sector, your tires are essentially cooked.
Exactly. I mean, the American track temps combined with long corners. You seen it at Kota, it was really bad. It's like driving on the wet nearly. But like, I can't say I've ever driven a Mustang GT3 before. But in my experience of real life, there's a bit more room for sliding the car, and your tires usually don't fall off that drastically. But who knows? Maybe it is like that. But all I know is it's difficult to manage, and it adds another element to the racing tonight.
You reckon that just before we got back to race 3, do you reckon it's going to be very hard for Oscar to overtake you guys? Obviously, he qualified first, which made it difficult for you guys. But do you think the nature of the track means it'll be easier for you guys to hold him off?
I know. I'm not even going to try and predict what's going to happen, because at the end of the day, it's race 3, so anything can happen, and we're just going to have to all of us be cautious and not make any silly moves.
Perfect. Look, Ronan, thank you very much. Ronan Doherty, second place in both of our heats today, and starting on 7th on the grid, which Evan will now give you the full grid for our final race of the evening.
Yeah, so it is Tommy Nukaran who is on pole ahead of Tony Stack in second. Dylan McClellan starts in third, and Dylan has had fairly decent pace. Maybe not luck, but good pace, so keep an eye on him. Evan Walsh in fourth. Sean McClements in fifth. Jordan Kelly in sixth. Ronan Doherty seventh. Oscar Mangan in eighth. That's the reverse grid. And then further behind that, it's Lawrence de Soswa in ninth. Colin Carrigan in 10th. Sean McGoldrick in 11th. John McDonald in 12th. Jamal Gandor 13th. Ahead of Stuart Brereton in 14th, the B Series leader. Kevin Joyce in 15th, Brian McCarthy in 16th, Simon Hutchings then starting behind in 17th, Gary Corcoran 18th, Peter McCann 19th, Andrew Murphy 20th, Rory O'Shea 21st, then it is Philip Upson and Ryan Smith 22nd and 23rd. And Kevin, it's a shuffled up grid. I am very excited for this one.
Yeah, it'll be really, really good. Tony Stack's obviously been quick as well. We've seen Evan Walsh has been super quick as well. So look, it's going to be very difficult for the likes of Oscar and Ronan and Jordan Kelly to try and get themselves into a position where they can challenge for the front. Normally, we would expect to see over the course of a 20-minute race that these guys would have enough opportunities to get it done. But on a track like Mid Ohio, especially when they're tire saving, normally you would expect to see these guys pull 3 or 4 places in the opening couple of laps, but I don't think that's going to be the race we're going to see here, Evan. I suppose we just heard they're going to be holding on to their tyres, they're going to see what they can do, and then maybe after 14, 15, 16 minutes, then the opportunities will come, the mistakes will come. They'll hope to make kind of capital out of that and not really have to work that hard to make those overtakes. But if those guys up the front can stay consistent, they have a great opportunity to stay where they are, because if they can, if everyone's bunched up, it's going to be a lot easier to save tires. I would say that it's going to be a lot easier to be easier on your tires. You're kind of a roadblock to the guy in front of you who's or the guy behind you who's a roadblock to the guy behind him. So this is a track that you can save your tires a little bit, as the guys were talking about. If you're at the front, you might do that, or you might just decide, look, I'm going to go for it. I'm going to try and get as much of a gap as I can, and we'll worry about the tires later on. Yeah, it's going to be very, very interesting to see what strategy plays out. Certainly the track temps having a massive impact on how all of these guys decide to go about the final race, the 20-minute race this evening.
Yeah, and last week the race was won by Sean McClements in sort of similar fashion, where he started at the front, himself and Peter stayed at the front, and then the other guys all tripped over each other a little bit, and unfortunately Peter got tripped over as well in that fight, and that allowed Sean to go on and win. So if I'm Tommy Nukerin, if I am Tony Stack, if I'm Evan Walsh, Sean McClements, I'll be trying to keep my nose clean in this opening couple of laps and maybe run away at the front while the others have some problems behind. This could be a very dramatic opening opening lap of this heat here around the 2.2 mile Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course. If you're joining us on Motorsport.ie, make sure to check out Gantry TV as well. Of course, we thank you very much for your support. But here they come to the line. It'll be Nukerin who gets us going as we go racing here in Ohio. It's a good start from Nukerin. It's a great start there from from Sean McClements, I should say, who's already up and into the race lead. Ronan Doherty is that in second, and Jordan Kelly in third. What an unbelievable start from Doherty and Kelly from way down the order. They're up to second and third.
Well, that's the sound of me scrunching up my notes and throwing them in the paper bin behind me. Ronan Doherty up 5 places in the opening corner, as Tony Stacks had a big issue there on the outside. Really disappointing for Tony. He's already 10 places down, and we're only 40 seconds on the clock. Yeah, really exciting start. Oscar Mangan now, a bit more pressure on Oscar now, seeing Ronan and Jordan leapfrog those places so early. Obviously Tommy Nukerin getting off the line well, but then went way too deep into the first corner, massively opened up the gap for those guys to come through. I'm really not sure, did they just get a better jump than some of those guys ahead of them? Did they put themselves in a position? I really have no clue how Ronan Doherty has gone from 7th into second already. But a poor start, initially good from Nukerin, but a poor first corner, and now he's kind of really thrown away the opportunity of holding on to this feature race. But yeah, plenty of incidents, Evan, as we cross the line for our first lap.
Yeah, any assumptions we had of Ronan and Jordan's race have been thrown out the window. Oscar Mangan in 7th still has a lot of work to do to get back up to his title rivals, but he's just going to take it cool. He's just going to be calm and reserved and pick off the pieces where he can. Here's Tommy Nukerin looking to try it round the outside. We saw him try this move, I believe, in heat number 1, not on Sean McGoldrick, but now he's trying it on Sean McGoldrick. Lawrence de Salzwa defends to the inside line on Oscar Mangan as well, and Mangan is just looking to drive out of the corner and just out-drag Lawrence de Salzwa down the straight. Mangan has a bit of a slipstream from the finishman in front, and is he going to try take them both potentially here in towards the right-hander? Doesn't seem to be able to get alongside Lawrence quite yet, and Lawrence de Salzwa is going to try dive down the inside off Tommy Nukerin, so defence becomes attack for LD, but unsuccessful there for him, and look at him closing off the line for Oscar Mangan. Lawrence does not let anybody through, and he is making that felt to Oscar Mangan.
Yeah, in fairness to Lawrence, he kind of clipped the curb on the corner, which kind of shot him out slightly. Then he tried to make that move on Tommy, and the door kind of closed on him, which meant he ended up on the brakes, which then forced him back into Oscar Mangan. So I was just about to say it was a dangerous situation. As Jamal Gandor, once again, Jamal, he just seems to be suffering from a lack of protection out there. So I'm not entirely sure what's happened to him, but dropping down there, and a real looking very flaccid performance for him, unfortunately. But it's yeah, for Ronan, I mean, I don't know how Ronan has managed to do that. He must be absolutely beaming with delight, because we heard him there in the as we have a look at the replay. Is this the off the line? This is the race start. So let's have a look at this again. Nukerin got a good start, but Tony Stack was alongside him. He's been pushed slightly there. I'd love to see where Ronan Doherty's come from, because the two of them went wide, and then up slipped Sean McClements, and then in second is Ronan Doherty. But how he came to be in a position where he was able to go straight into second, I do not know.
I think
it seemed like, yeah, it seems like all the guys in the outside of the corner just got a really bad start. Probably the fact that Nukerin went deep into it, and it opened up the gate for all the guys in the inside lane to slip through. But Ronan's talking about saving the tyres. He's in a great position now to save tyres, knowing that Oscar's a good couple of cars behind him. Ronan, like Oscar initially was talking about saving tyres and potentially attacking near the end with all the other guys. Now he sees all the other guys 3.5-4 seconds up the road. Interesting to see whether Oscar's changes his attack, or whether he backs himself that he will be able to get those tyres to perform enough to be able to make up that gap potentially, of course, with the likes of Sean McClemens, Ronan and Jordan battling each other, drawing them back into his clutches.
Fastest lap of the race does go to Oscar Mangan, so don't count him out just yet. He's looking to attack Tommy Nukarin, and I wonder, will Ronan Doherty have seen that? And will he now try and launch an attack on Sean McClemens, who's leading an RTA race for the 3rd time this season? And he would like to win one for the 2nd. But he does have 2 of the championship protagonists behind, although Sean himself has put himself in a great position in the championship as well. So we can't count him out just yet. As you can see, that's Ronan Doherty just getting right close to the rear bumper of Sean McClemens. No moves really being able to form in this middle sector, but it's the first sector where all the moves will come. So that's where Ronan's got to get close right behind Sean and try and lunge it down the inside or around the outside if it's possible, and make the move stick. And this is the corner we've seen a lot of problems for drivers. No problems just yet. Oscar Mangan looking to get on the back of Tommy Nukarin as well. So a bit of a stalemate for the time being, but there's going to be overtakes sooner rather than later.
Yeah, this is kind of the, as you say, the patience games these guys are playing. I mean, we're only 5.5 minutes into the feature race. We've only about a quarter of it gone, and you'd expect the tyres to last up until around maybe the 10 or 12 minute mark if you're pushing them. If you're saving them, potentially you could make them last to 15, 16 minutes, 17 minutes, another extra couple of laps before you start to have to think about it. Now, a little bit of a move there from Ronan, just keeping Sean McClemens keen and eager, because, you know, as Oscar was saying in the interview between the races, is trying to force somebody into a mistake more so than trying to make a move yourself. But John will, you know, he's a mature head and some young shoulders. I know he doesn't seem, because Dylan is so much younger than him, we don't think of Sean as being young himself, but he is. Still plenty of maturing to do, but he is doing a good job of trying to manage that gap. But here's Ronan down the inside as they go tete-a-tete into this twisty and tight section as it switches back and forward. So if you can hold yourself around the outside, as Sean McClemens did there, you can kick the inside. That was very tight between those two. I was almost expecting contact, and they need to think about where they are in the race, because as we said, there's only 6 minutes into this, or just over 6 minutes, maybe coming up to 7 minutes gone in this race. Plenty of time left. If they start battling this much this early, it's going to open the doors for all those guys behind. Look at that, Oscar Mangan, he's not that far away. He will just shoot straight through with about 2 or 3 laps to go when all these guys' tyres are off.
Brilliant defensive driving from Sean McClemens, and great offensive driving from Ronan Doherty not to make contact. He's now right on the tail of Sean in front. These two, of course, cousins as well. We can't forget that there is a family relation here, as Ronan Doherty dives down the inside of Sean McClemens. He's not going to fuss about with the outside line, and McClemens clips Kelly. That's Jordan Kelly gone round. And is that potentially the end to a championship charge for the man from Donegal? Jordan Kelly spins into the infield, recovers himself in the gravel, and he is now way down the order. There's the drama we expected, pulls back onto the circuit. They all have to avoid. Let's have a look at the Gantry TV replay. Kevin, what you make of this one?
I think we talked about opportunism when it comes to overtaking with other people being involved in battles, but opportunism often comes with risks, and it's really hard to see any fault there from Sean McClemens, should I say. Like, he's just been overtaken by Ronan Doherty. He's trying to get back online. He's trying to steady his thoughts, and all of a sudden he's Jordan Kelly down the inside of him. It's a genuine move for Jordan, but you know when you overtake somebody who's involved in the battle that there is a risk that you might be caught up in the conflab of it, as Peter McCann is all over the back of John McDonald. I think it's going to be very difficult for the stewards to appropriate blame there. But as I said, it's one of those things that it's high risk, high reward. You can overtake 2 in one go, but equally you can get caught up in the carnage behind, and unfortunately for Jordan that was the case.
Yeah, Jordan might be under investigation himself for that rejoin. I'm not sure he'll get any penalty for it or anyways, but someone might want them to have a look at it. And here comes Peter McCann looking to attack John McDonald. He's not able to get past. He has Jordan Kelly a couple cars behind in an identical coloured car. One livery that got a bit of talking tonight was Jamal Gandor, of course, and he's commented on our YouTube live stream saying he hoped we liked his longer wheelbase car this week. I think we did, Kevin. As here is Jordan Kelly trying it on the outside of Brian McCarthy, looking to get what he can from this race, and he's going to try and fish it the long way here, but that's to no avail, and he'll have to sit behind for the time being. The remainder of this race is all just frustration for Jordan, really, because it's just a case of what could have been.
Yeah, it really is. And like I said, he was absolutely within his rights to go for it. The door was open, but as I said, it's just hard to really appropriate blame there on Sean either. It's a difficult one. You when you put your car in a gap like that, you know that there's potential that it might go wrong. As we see a couple of cars spinning off the distance, there's Peter McCann, who's running perhaps a shorter wheelbase than Jamal's, but I suppose that's for probably the post-season drinks to find that out. We'll have a look at what happened here. There's a couple of people there now. Tom McDonald on the inside. He loses it, which spun his own, and then in solidarity, Stuart Burton decided to spin with him, just helping a brother out. And unfortunately for John, and look, again, we're already seeing it. How long are we into the race now? We're 10 minutes in, and we're starting to see those tyre issues already start to rear their head.
Anything you can do, I can do better, really, there for John McDonald and the other car that went round with him. Very disappointing for those guys because they were having a solid battle. Here's Sean McGoldrick, who is in third place now thanks to Jordan Kelly's mistake, but he was Oscar Mangan, the championship leader and double race winner tonight, right behind him. Oscar winning heat number 1 and heat number 2 if you missed it, ahead of Ronan Doherty in second, Jordan Kelly in third. The same podium in both of them, but we've had a shuffle up here for heat number 3, and Oscar Mangan hungry on the back of Sean McGoldrick here, looking to try and make a move on the very patriotic looking livery as Sean McGoldrick has been running all season. Down towards the keyhole of turn number 2, one of the famous corners here, or semi-famous corners on this Mid-Ohio sports course, and here comes Oscar Mangan, big dive down the inside into it. That's going to nudge McGoldrick a little bit offline. Rubbing is racing, as they say in the States, and Oscar Mangan takes that literally, pushes McGoldrick out of the way. He's up ahead into third, but Sean McGoldrick's got a good run here down towards turn number 4. Is McGoldrick going to be able to re-overtake the championship leader, Oscar Mangan? McGoldrick needs to outscore him as much as he can to keep a foot in the fight here, and Sean McGoldrick is still alongside Mangan, but Oscar Mangan will stay in front.
Yeah, Oscar Mangan channeling his inner Kyle Larson there, I was actually quite surprised by Oscar, but I was talking up earlier about would the fact that Ronan's had such a good start potentially alter Oscar's race strategy, and you just saw it there, much more aggressive than what we would expect to see out of Oscar, and there was only pretty much the exact width of a Ford Mustang GT3 to get through, and he managed to make that stick. So in fairness to Oscar, he managed to make it happen as Jordan's on the hunt now, overtaking Colin Carrigan. Can he make this through? Yes, he can. Is Jordan, and it's for both Jordan and Peter McCann that we see on screen tonight is kind of a night of what ifs. Very disappointing for both of them, just caught up in probably instance that they feel like looking back on they could have and should have avoided. Whether they'll appropriate the blame to themselves or someone else, that is a different case, or whether the blame is indeed resting with themselves or someone else, that's another question. But just a great opportunity for both RTA guys to try and, or both my God, I'm all over the place tonight. VRA guys to try and get some really good points for the team, and just not their night, unfortunately. But for Ronan Doherty, really, we were talking about consistency over the course of a championship, and obviously Oscar Mangan on top tonight has been not a huge amount of race wins since Cota, but still sticking in there, and it's the same for Ronan. Two second place finishes tonight, managed to hold off Jordan Kelly despite the fact that his tyres were going off, as he said earlier, and now finds himself in first place. So overall it will be a good night for him. Not as good as it would be for Oscar if he can finish third, but if Oscar has an issue, it could be a very good night for Ronan Doherty. So it's just about sticking in there and trying to get as many consistent points as he can. So for Ronan, he's staying in the fight, which is the most important thing.
Yeah, and that's what Ronan is really good at, actually. One statistic that always stands out for me is his podiums compared to his race wins. In the Super Formula Lights, he took 7 wins, which is, look, it's nothing to shy about, but he took 15 podiums. In his Formula Ford campaign winning season, he only won 4 races. We had a lot of different race winners back then, but he was sort of consistent, finishing 2nd and 3rd, and was able to win the championship. So Oscar Mangan maybe taking the Ronan Doherty approach to winning this season, only taking a few wins. He currently has 5. Here is this move from Oscar Mangan on Sean McGoldrick, the Gantry TV replay, and you can see nudges him out of the way and gets the job done. It's a very NASCAR-esque move, actually, Kevin. You were spot on with that one.
Yeah, I just a real kind of Joey Logano, little bump and run kind of move there from Oscar Mangan, but he still is. He's Sean McClemens now in his sight. Will be interesting to see how he tackles this one. 5 minutes left now on the clock, which means only a couple of more laps that these guys have to get through. So time is running out, and opportunities with them. So it'll be interesting to see whether Oscar tries to make that move or whether he thinks, okay, look, I'm just going to stick with what I have. He obviously has a pace advantage. Because he had very little challenge in the opening 2 races. He has potentially saved his tyres. We don't really know. The only person that knows that really is Oscar. Maybe a quick onboard shot might give us an idea of how he's faring in the low speed corners later on. But yeah, let's have a quick look at Oscar's steering wheel. Let's just see how much is going on through the corner, how much he's having to fight that car. It looks relatively stable there through. That's an incredible camera. We've robbed cameras off the F1. We now have helmet cams, so but it looks incredibly stable from Oscar Mangan there. So seems like he has the tires that he could potentially mount a challenge. But Evan, has he left too much for himself to do too late in the race?
Yeah, I wonder. Let's keep a look here heading through the S's section and see. He's managed them very well. That car, look, he's not. The car is not driving him, if that makes any sort of sense to anyone out there. He is in full control here, and not having to make much mid-corner adjustments. Sean McClemens does seem to be struggling a little bit in front, so I definitely think 2nd is possible here for Oscar Mangan. Maybe the race win just a tad too far. Another driver who's out of the race, I'm only noticing it now, is Dylan McClemens. So I'm not sure what's happened to Dylan, but his championship fight has really taken a hit tonight, and he's out here of Heat 3. He didn't have the strongest Heat 2. Heat 1 was fine, but yeah, very disappointing for Dylan McClemens, whose brother is defending from Oscar Mangan now. A flash of the lights for Oscar Mangan as they head into the first corner. He's looking really close now, heading through turn number 1, down towards the keyhole of turn number 2. Oscar Mangan's looking for the inside line. He'll even clip a few cones if he has to try go down the inside of Sean McClemens. McClemens not able to defend, but is Mangan able to get it stopped? Sean McClemens back down the inside. Oh, that was very close to contact, potentially a little bit of contact, but Sean McClemens has held on, and Sean McGoldrick is now going to try and fight Sean McClemens for the final podium placing down towards turn number 4. What a recovery drive it would be for McGoldrick if he could take 3rd here. McClemens, very defensive line, forcing McGoldrick to the outside. We know Sean can defend in this sector. He did it to Ronan Doherty, and Sean McClemens will just about stay ahead. So Mangan 2nd, Mangan 2nd, McClemens 3rd, McGoldrick 4th.
Yeah, but McClemens was very vulnerable there after that move from Oscar Mangan. To be fair to Oscar and Sean as well, giving Oscar enough space, but Oscar really rigidly sticking that inside line and making it work. But of course, backing up Sean McClemens, then into Sean McGoldrick, and McClemens is a bit of a wounded animal here, I think, sitting for McClemens, for McGoldrick to take him. Let's see if Sean McGoldrick can get this move done, but time running out. So if Sean McClemens can just hold on for another lap, even 2 laps, I would say, probably. Here now, this is probably our penultimate lap, I would suggest. So another 2 laps, this and the next one, then it would be a very well earned 3rd place from the man also from the further north of the country. Ronan Doherty, meanwhile, has taken off down the road, so he's not going to be much help to his cousin further back. And I think for Oscar Mangan, it's way too much. It's 3.5 seconds in 2 laps. It's just going to be too much for him to overtake. So unless Ronan has a big instant or makes a big mistake, Oscar's going to have to settle once again for 2 out of 3.
Yeah, definitely. If everything stayed the same and Ronan and Oscar's pace stayed the same, it's too much to ask. But look, anything can happen. And Ronan doesn't want to celebrate too early. Sean McClemens has survived one lap through turn two and turn 4. Has to survive potentially one more, but with the way his tyres do seem to be falling off, Sean McGoldrick could take him at any given moment. And Tommy Newgren as well behind them, only 1.3 seconds behind. But a great heat free from Tommy Newgren as Sean McGoldrick looking for the move. He didn't go, but certainly had a peek and tried to tee up Sean McClemens here. We were talking beforehand how you got to plan your overtakes. It seems like Sean McGoldrick is doing just that. Ronan Doherty crosses the line with 30 seconds to go. This will be our final lap here in Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course, and Sean McClemens and Sean McGoldrick battling for third. McClemens in front in the black and purple, McGoldrick with the star-spangled banner across his bonnet and down towards turn number 2. McClemens looks okay as Doherty heads out of there in the race lead. It's the run towards turn number 4. If McClemens can stay in front of there, he might just be home and dry. Tommy Newgren as well, hoping something goes wrong potentially between these two, as there is more moves further back, but this is the crucial battle for the final podium place. And a lot on the line here. It might only be a 2-point differential, but the confidence a podium gives you here in RTA is unmatched. And Sean McClemens has survived in towards turn number 4, just needs to keep it clean in the final 2 sectors.
Yeah, and McClemens is just hanging on here, trying to, as you said, I mean, it's a help to him that this track is so tight, but there will be opportunities for Sean McGoldrick. I suppose it just depends on how brave / stupid / desperate he is to try and stick it down the inside and make that happen. I suppose it all depends on where Sean McClemens is at those given moments as to what Sean McGoldrick decides to do. But Ronan, really dominant drive from him, to be fair to him. I mean, what a fantastic final drive as he crosses the line to take the final race. Oscar Mangan coming in second place. It looks like Sean McGoldrick is going to just about survive. It's tight.
He does.
It's tight, but great stuff from both of these drivers, in fairness to them. But Sean McClemens, superb defensive drive to eke out that third place and a very, very well earned bronze medal.
Yes, just about a bronze medal for Sean McClemens, apologies, who stays in front. There's Tony Stack and Peter McCann bringing it home 10th and 11th. Evan Walsh came home in 9th. Jordan Kelly got 8th in the end. A very trouble-filled race for Jordan Kelly, so he won't be happy leaving Mid-Ohio. A little bit further down, Lawrence de Souza actually got 6th, so as much as we like to have a bit of a go at Lawrence for his last of firsts, he's quite good at them. He gets up there.
Driver of the day? No, that's a joke, by the way. But yeah, no, a good drive from Lawrence, and probably could have done even better if he hadn't spun in the last race. Maybe could have found himself challenging towards the front. But yes, the last of first definitely suiting Lawrence. Maybe he's a guy who just prefers, building up his race brick by brick. Or is that?
Way.
Yeah, I know. It's just I have to get it in there. So Ronan Doherty, your race winner, Evan, and an instant filled as we expected final race.
Yeah, Ronan Doherty, confirmation as your heat-free winner. Oscar Mangan in second, Sean McClemens in third. Sean McGoldrick in fourth, with Tommy Newgren in fifth, Lawrence de Souza then in sixth, Kevin Joyce in seventh, Jordan Kelly in eighth, Evan Walsh in ninth, had a Tony Stack in 10th, Peter McCann in 11th, John McDonald in 12th, Stuart Brereton in 13th, so he extends to be championship lead. Andrew Murphy 14th, Brian McCarthy 15th, Colin Carrigan 16th, Philip Upson 17th, Rory O'Shea in 18th, Gary Corcoran 19th, Jamal Gandor in 20th, then Simon Hutchings, Dylan McClements and Ryan Smith rounding us off. But let's hear from your race winner then, Ronan Doherty. We heard a bit from him earlier, but he'll be a lot more relaxed now that Heat 3 is over. And Ronan, talk us through that unbelievable start from 7th to 2nd by turn 2.
I'd love to sit here and say it was all me, yeah, it was all me, but to be honest with you, I think it was mainly a bit of luck, but I did know in my head, I said I don't want to be on the inside, or I don't want to be on the outside of this first corner, so I was definitely committing to the inside, and I just seen everyone wash out, going a little bit too hard. One person ran off the track, and then I was behind Sean, and I thought, happy days, here we go.
In terms of that race as a whole then, a dominant drive once you did get in front of Sean, and very similar to what you did at Willow Springs, where Oscar took the first 2 heats, but you just had the pace on him in the third. Are you happy with how that one ended?
Yeah, I was happy enough. Like, I knew sort of in qualifying that I lost the first 2 races because there is a little bit of dirty air with these cars, and this track is hard to overtake even when you have a pace advantage. So, um, I knew it was going to be difficult for sure. But look, once I got into second, I just I seen Sean in front of me, and I just thought, Oscar, I couldn't see him in the relative, and I just took my time, and when the opportunity came, I took it. Once I got a bit of clean air, because I knew that Oscar was quite far back and Jordan went off, I just sort of saved my tyres the whole race pretty much, and it paid off.
The only driver outscored you today in the championship fight was Oscar. You, of course, beating the rest. Bit of a stretch, maybe, but are you still hopeful for the title battle?
I think I had one too many little things happen here and there, and Willow Springs, I took pole, probably had the best pace of the night, and made a mistake in the first race, which might have cost me a hat trick that night. And then I didn't do the wet round in Montreal because I was on holiday. So it would take something pretty big from Oscar now to make a big mistake. And of course, with all his experience, it's unlikely, but you never know, anything can happen.
Ronald Doherty, winner of Heat 3, thank you very much for joining us, and congratulations once again.
Cheers, lads, and keep it country.
Second place man with Kevin, then. Here is Oscar Man.
Rather appropriate for Ronan to sign off with Keeper Country in the weekend of
He does that
the
every
Rose
week.
Trilly. Oscar, very far from the Rose of Trilly. You were talking there about trying to save the tires and how difficult it was. Did you get a sense over the course of the race that you left a little bit too much too late? Like by the time you got past Sean McClements, you had another 3 seconds to make up on Ronan, or do you feel like you kind of extracted as much as you could out of the car?
I think I just had to make the positions cleanly as best I could, and just in doing so, just kind of fighting with people, it just kind of used up the tires. I could see the whole time that Ronan was pretty close ahead the whole time, but I kind of suspected that he might have been saving his tires because he was doing maybe like mid 22s, and as soon as then I got by Sean into second, then he suddenly dropped about 2 or 3 tenths. So I gather he was just kind of holding on and saving his tires, and I couldn't afford to do that. Just I had to get by people to get the points. So, just the way it goes. He got a great start, and I didn't really capitalize at the beginning, but it is what it is.
Yeah, we saw one of those moves on Sean McGoldrick, a real kind of, I mean, he literally gave you as pretty much as little space as he possibly could, and he managed to just about make a stick. How do you try and switch into that aggression mode? Obviously, you're trying to think about fighting for a championship, so it's that kind of risk-reward thing, but it's hard to is it hard to try and switch in then to be kind of that aggression, kind of chasing cars and making those overtakes when you know in the back of your head you kind of have a championship as well on the line?
I think it does. I think there's a huge mentality kind of difference that comes into it when you're fighting at the kind of top of the table. I find that it's much better to just kind of pick your battles throughout and don't make enemies and things like that. And then of course, then when it comes down to actually like making a single move, then you have to kind of just put your hand out and make it stick. But yeah, I think some people can be, from racing against all sorts. Some people are just full on attack at all times, but I don't really try and employ that philosophy to get them through the field unless it's like I've kind of nothing to lose. Then it's just a bit of crack and race hard, especially if there's big stakes for a one-off race. But no, for this one, definitely it's just about gathering the points and just keep chipping away at positions when I can.
Yeah, because I just wondered when we were all taken aback by Ronan's start. No doubt you were probably had a half an eye on the relative, or at least the standings, to kind of have an idea. Like, he went straight from 7th into second. Did that kind of change then the strategy? Did it put you under more pressure? The fact that a lot of these guys that you're fighting with the championship had such a good start, the fact that the rest of the field almost washed away in the first corner, the rest of the championship contenders almost got themselves in straight away, and you were still stuck behind in kind of 7th or 8th place. Did it change the strategy of the race for you, or did you kind of stick with that power management and it'll pay off come the end?
I'd say once I saw Ronan, Jordan, and Sean, the three of them had a good gap ahead, I was sort of like went into the mode of like, okay, if I can catch them, I'm happy enough with that. At that stage, I was sort of like, I think Ronan's probably going to get ahead at some stage and probably pull away. So I kind of felt after the first lap or second lap that there's no chance of a race win, but I could definitely, if people ahead make mistakes, or definitely if they start fighting, then I could have a chance. So I just kind of planned to just kind of chip away, get by like 6th, 7th, 8th, or 6th, 5th, and 4th. And then once I was in a position then to actually start putting laps in and catching them, then it kind of came back towards me. But yeah, it's just the way it went.
Well, I'd like to say that I'm your lucky omen. The last time I commentated on this series, you got 2 race wins in Coda, 2 race wins again tonight in the 2nd place. It's been all in told another good evening towards your championship standings, and congratulations on another good evening's work.
Thanks very much, guys.
Yeah, that was the thoughts of Oscar Mangan, our Heat 1 and Heat 2 winner. Just left it a bit too late for himself on Heat 3, but interesting to get his thoughts. Finally, Evan, we'll have a chat with a man who I hope his heart rate has returned to somewhat of a normal state after the last couple of laps. Sean McClements, our just about and very well earned 3rd place finisher.
Yeah, Sean, you're making a bit of a habit of these podiums now in heat number 3. Got the win, of course, last week, and another defensive performance today to take 3rd. Surely you're happy with that one?
Oh yeah, over the moon with that one. Of course it was unfortunate with Dylan. I think he would have had the pace to win it. With his disconnect at the start, it definitely would have had the pace. It's unfortunate with that, but to be honest, I think it's just because Kevin's here. Like, I've got a podium every single time Kevin's been here this season. So Kevin, come more
Kevin
often,
wasn't here
please.
last week and you won.
He was. No,
Kevin
he wasn't.
here last week.
He wasn't. That's right.
I was here in spirit.
Yeah, he was here in spirit. That's all that counts. It was. I can't even think of his name anymore. Anyway.
It was Kieran McGinley who was here last week.
That's the one I was thinking on.
Yeah,
Sorry,
yeah.
Kieran.
Yeah.
Poor Kieran.
Poor Kieran.
Oh my God.
In terms of your pace tonight, Sean, you had quite decent pace in Road America as well. Is this something you're looking to continue on forward and to keep grabbing the odd podium and strong points elsewhere?
Yeah, hopefully that's the plan anyway. I didn't actually get practicing as much last night. Didn't really feel too great last night whenever I was practicing, so I was sort of optimistic coming in with little practice, but I simply pulled it out of the bag. I just noticed during the race there was a few areas of improvement, but I didn't want to test my luck during the race, so I just sort of kept steady pace and seemed to be there and about. So hopefully we can keep that going forward.
And in terms of the championship, you may not be in the championship battle, but there's definitely a top 5 still on the cards. I think it could be even in the top 5 after tonight once someone more intelligent than me does the maths. Is top 5 maybe the goal for the championship, or are you just taking it week by week?
Well, at the minute we'll take it week by week. At the minute, at the start of the season, I had a bit of an unfortunate couple of races, so I was obviously going to lose a good couple points there. Like, I think maybe top 5 could have definitely been on without that. But if I was to set myself a goal, I would say top 5. Now I think top 3 is maybe out of reach. But I think top 5, if I keep driving well, keep the nice and consistent, I think I could maybe grasp the top 5.
Well, hopefully more Dylan McClements next week, but great to hear from Sean McClements nonetheless. Congratulations, Sean.
Can I just jump? Sorry to jump in here. I know it's been a long night and everyone wants to get to bed, right? But could I just one final point of contention now that I'm here? So you came on, Sean, and the first thing you mentioned was Dylan's unfortunate disconnect. How does your brother disconnect and you don't when you're in the same house and he's in the same temperature? And he's in a championship battle with you?
I don't know. The wee brother was paid, but don't tell Dylan that. No, well, to be fair, even in most nights, actually, to be fair, whenever you're down with Dylan, his connections, because he's at the far end of the house, his connection's actually the worst out of the whole house. So I think that's
That'll be
what
swapped
happened
around
there.
next
Like,
week.
and maybe loosened his tires and whatever else. But
So, Sean, enjoy your new bedroom once everything is swapped around and Phil is given the better connection for the championship challenge. But hopefully, we do get to hear from you again next week.
hopefully, lads, take care.
Great to hear from our podium sitters then, Kevin. But it's time for driver of the day. I'll have a quick look at the YouTube chat, see if there are any suggestions. Jamal Gandor has said either Tony Stack or Lawrence. Chris McCann says either Oscar or Ronan. So 4 suggestions there, which is nice to have.
Yeah, I think Oscar really for me is the only one who really performed consistently across all 3 races. Everyone had their scrapes and everyone had their good performances, but I think Oscar really is the only one for me that was really solidly consistent on. Bear in mind a track where tires seem to be a big issue. Oscar was the only one really that didn't really make a mistake over the course of the 3 races. As we heard from earlier, like it's very difficult to attack very early, and he saw the guys get away, but still managed to make up for a 2nd place. I mean, obviously Ronan had a great final race, but it's difficult. But I think for me it is our championship leader Oscar. Just 2 race wins, and it didn't really put a foot wrong. And he's the only one I can think of in the grid that literally did not make any mistake over the course of the 3 races.
Yeah, I know we usually go for a bit of an underdog, but I think Oscar deserves it. I don't actually think we've given us Oscar this season, despite him being the championship leader. But I think we'll go for Oscar Mangan, who, of course, did take pole and 2 wins tonight. So that's always worthy of a driver of the day performance. So Oscar Mangan, driver of the day. But I want to do my usual segment and give a bit of an underrated shout. Ronan needs to get a bit of jazzy music or something for this. Evan Walsh had a good race. I thought Tommy Newcrin had a decent race as well. Then, of course, Sean McClemens picking up the podium. And Jamal was running well until, unfortunately, his disconnect. But I think that rounds us out this evening, Kevin.
Yeah, it's just it's been great to be back, and thanks so much for having us back. Trying to think of another Viagra related pun, but nothing comes to mind. I think I'm all out of Viagra puns, so unfortunately, I'll have to load up ahead of 2 weeks' time. Yeah, it's a great series. It's turning out to be a superb series. Hopefully, we can see Oscar challenged a little bit more at the top of the standing, but these guys are putting in some fantastic racing. So yeah, onwards and upwards to the next round of the latest season of the RTA series. And if you are interested, if you are enjoying, you can check out RTA Motorsport. We're heading, of course, to VIR next week. I was talking about it being an underrated, both Mid-Ohio and VIR, not often seen on officials, but they are superb tracks. And of course, IMSA in VIR this weekend, so be a great opportunity to compare and contrast. But if you are enjoying it, do subscribe to Gantry TV and do subscribe to the Motorsport.ie as well, our partners, of course, over the course of the series, and check out RT8 Motorsports as well for all of this fantastic racing. But yeah, I mean, great to be back. See you in a week. Slán go fóill.